put out episodes of history and whatever. It's one of my passions is history, and of course comedy is another, but lately in this last year, since the last Martin Luther King Jr. Dedicated episode that I like to do every year, if I can, sometimes I don't make it, but this year I wanted to do just a little one. And usually it's dedicated to a work of his that I have taken the time to analyze and put into my heart and think and mind and think about. But this year has been extremely trying, and I've been very troubled. And here we are again, back to Martin Luther King Day. I just wanted to say thank you for joining me. And, Martin Luther King is one of my personal heroes. Let me tell you why. Right here on History and Whatever. With your host, me, James Manning III. So, it's strange to say that Martin Luther King Jr. is one of my personal heroes. Because it doesn't seem like he was the kind of man who would see himself as a hero. But he really was. He's a hero to me. Because of his convictions. He never strayed from his convictions. And he moved forward with incredible courage. With nonviolence in the face of extreme violence. And he's a very religious man, of course, a Baptist preacher. He always took the scriptures and kind of relayed them to us in a way that was moral. It was a moral language. It was a morality that he developed via his religion and his relationship with the Bible and what he believes. And I always admired that. I admired it greatly. And it's something that I've always, tried to understand and put that in my life as someone who is a moralistic individual. Or at least I'd like to think so. Because these are interesting times, and, the difference between ethics and morality are often blurred, and they are two different things. But I don't think that MLK had any issue with either with his ethical standpoint or his moral standpoint, because he was very well developed, and he spent a lot of time thinking about those things. At least that's the way it came off to me on the research that I've done. But then you look at the legacy of Donald J. Trump. Oh boy. It makes you wonder what would Martin Luther King do in this situation. And he's not here to help us, but he's left a lot behind in order to help guide our way forward. Because Mr. Trump is doing everything in his power to destroy all of the work done by the civil rights movement. All of it. He's trying to throw it all away and change history. And all of his cronies and all the Republicans and even some Democrats are doing that. And I can't believe what I'm seeing, and I'm still mortified by it even a year after it has begun. And every single day I wake up to a new horror show. And it's highly disturbing. And it's unconstitutional. And Christians around the world should be opposed to the way that they conduct themselves. Right down to if you look at what's happened to the Department of Justice, which is basically hollow, and the Civil Rights Division that has been snuffed out, basically just wiped away. No one works there anymore, or maybe there's one person who does, or something like that, 2, 3, I don't know how many. But basically they are a hollow shell of what they used to be. The entire Department of Justice is, but particularly the Civil Rights Division. And they try to call it DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Let's analyze that. They don't like to be inclusive, so they like to be exclusive. They don't like equity, so all of a sudden there are first, second, and third class citizens in America? No. So they don't like inclusivity. They don't like equity. What the? Equity? Give me a break. Okay, they don't like equity, and they don't like diversity. This is the term that they've chosen to twist and to use in their own sick, demented way so that they can further their, Nazistic ideals? Just being like, DEI, making it bad? No. Diversity is probably one of the most important structures that we have within America, because it is the diverse populace that can survive. Diversity is our strength. Diversity is the keystone to survival. The Trump administration is just completely morally bankrupt. Just like he's bankrupted everything else he's ever done. Any other business, and he's bankrupting the United States. Because they have some sort of blank check or something, and they're just flagrantly disregarding the law. Oh, what would Martin Luther King Jr. do? And, on this day, Martin Luther King Jr. Day, where we take some time to acknowledge everything that he did, we should use his memory as fuel to keep up the resistance to evil. And I'm not talking about, Republicans and Democrats. I'm not talking about right versus left. I'm talking about good versus evil. Because the things that we're seeing coming out of this administration, the Department of Homeland Security, are just straight up evil. There's no other way to describe it. And it's not Christian. It's not Christian. They want to claim Christianity, but for some reason, they're doing everything that Jesus would be opposed to, in my opinion. And Martin Luther King, he went through some of the most horrific abuses that, one could withstand. And he always said nonviolent, right up in the face of those who would commit extreme violence against him. He was arrested many times. He was assaulted, battered, had bombs left on his porch to kill him and his family, which luckily they didn't. And ultimately he was assassinated. Some say he was assassinated because he was speaking out, not just for his community, but against the Vietnam War. And some say that was the reason that they assassinated him, whoever they are. Now, that's just an opinion, but it's my opinion. But he spoke out against poverty. That was one of the things that he really fought against, was poverty, because he saw how poverty was linked to all these other, abuses and all these other things that were destroying people. And the Vietnam War is definitely one of them. He was a good Christian. He didn't believe in the war, or he didn't believe that it was a good thing that it was happening, or that we should have been there. And now I'm kind of talking for him, but I don't want to do that. But that's just a part of history and a little bit of conjecture on my part. But one thing that I took from the research that I've done into Martin Luther King Jr. is that he never gave up on his dreams. He never gave up on his dreams. He never gave up on his community. Just like my grandpa said, you can give out, but you can't give up. And he never gave up. So, on this day with this short episode of history and whatever, I just want to say thank you to Martin Luther King Jr. and all those who helped in his movement and all those believe in him like I do. And all of those who stand with me in believing that he is a hero of democracy. He is a hero in the history books and someone who had strength unwavering and never used it in a bad way. So thank you, Martin Luther King, for attempting to build your temple of peace. And even though you were stopped short of building your temple, I want to thank you for doing what you did, because every day I do my best to build my own temple of peace, brick by brick. And I know very well that I may not be able to complete my temple, but that doesn't matter, because it is within thine heart, which is important. And that's what he taught us, is that you may not be able to complete your temple of peace, but you should try anyway in the face of those who would stop you. So I will not stop, continue to build. I will not stop my belief, and I will try to attempt and to build on what he built, in laying a solid foundation for a temple of peace amongst us in the United States, in a time when division is everywhere and unity is needed. Come and help me build a temple of peace by building your own anywhere you go, day by day, in any way you can, even if it's just a smile for the downtrodden who seems to have found their way into your life. And, this is a very sentimental episode, and the reason is because I've learned a lot from Martin Luther King Jr. There are many who I would call hero, but Martin Luther King Jr., you will always be my hero, and someone who I truly believe did everything in his power to move forward for people in general. Not just one group of people, not just his community, but everyone. So, thank you. And I want to thank all of you for listening, and I hope you found this enjoyable in some way. And it's not very funny. I wish it was, but I find it hard to write jokes these days. But I will not give up on my attempt to continue the building of the Temple of Peace. We'll see you next time, right here on History and Whatevea.